Close your eyes. Slow your breath. Let your imagination drift far from the cities you know, past the glowing skylines, the paved roads, the digital noise. Tonight, we're going to a place where the silence holds wisdom, and the sand carries memory. A place that once shined so brightly, it rivaled the greatest cities of the Islamic world. The buildings are made of sun-baked mud brick, low and earthy. The landscape is dry, flat, and endless. Yet this place, seemingly so small, so hidden, was once a beating heart of the Muslim world. A city built not by kings with armies, but by Muslims with books. We're going to Timbuktu, a name whispered through centuries, misunderstood, underestimated, but never erased. Before we dive in, drop a comment letting us know where you're tuning in from and what time it is. We'd love to hear from you. Nestled on the southern edge of the vast Sahara Desert, Timbuktu doesn't look like much at first glance. The buildings are made of sun-baked mud brick, low and earthy. The landscape is dry, flat, and endless. Yet this place, seemingly so small, so hidden, was once a beating heart of the Muslim world. A city built not by kings with armies, but by Muslims with books. Our journey begins over 900 years ago, in the 12th century, when Islam was spreading across North and West Africa. But unlike the sword-driven conquests of earlier centuries, Islam arrived here differently through commerce, kindness, and conversation. Muslim traders brought salt from the mines of Tagaza, gold from the forested south, and with them, Qurans, legal texts, stories, and science. They didn't just sell goods, they sold ideas. Timbuktu first emerged as a seasonal trading post for nomadic Tuareg herders. Over time, it became a permanent settlement, its importance growing with every caravan that stopped to rest. And as its economy expanded, so did its soul. In the 14th century, it was absorbed into the Mali Empire, under the reign of one of the most extraordinary rulers in human history, Mansa Musa. You've probably heard of him, the richest man who ever lived. His Hajj to Mecca in 1324 was so extravagant, so generous, that it crushed the price of gold in Cairo for over a decade. But what Mansa Musa brought back from his pilgrimage was more valuable than all his wealth. He brought architects, artisans, and scholars. He returned with blueprints for mosques, ideas for governance, and a renewed passion to turn Timbuktu into a center of Islamic civilization in Africa. He commissioned the construction of the Jindober Mosque, a majestic structure made of mud and timber that still stands today. He also established Sankore University, which would go on to become one of the most advanced centers of learning in the medieval world, comparable to Al-Azhar in Cairo and Al-Qarawiyyin in Fez. By the 5th-10th century, Timbuktu had blossomed into a thriving city of perhaps 100,000 people. Its mosques were not just places of prayer. They were lecture halls, archives, libraries. There were over 150 Islamic schools, and families competed not over wealth or land, but over who had the most manuscripts. Owning a book was a symbol of honor. Books were copied by hand, often illuminated with gold ink, and kept wrapped in cloth or stored in carved wooden boxes. Some households owned libraries with hundreds or even thousands of volumes, passed down for generations. These collections weren't limited to religious texts. Timbuktu's scholars wrote and studied astronomy, geometry, medicine, botany, history, geography, grammar, logic, ethics, and even poetry and literature. There were books about how to treat malaria using crushed leaves and clay, books that explained the phases of the moon and how to predict eclipses. Legal commentaries from the Maliki school of Islamic jurisprudence, meticulously recorded and debated. Even books on personal hygiene and dream interpretation, evidence of a deeply human, everyday intellectual culture. Students traveled for months to reach Timbuktu. They came from all over West Africa, Senegal, Niger, Nigeria, and even from as far away as Morocco, Egypt, and Arabia. Once there, they would live with local families, attend lectures in open-air courtyards, and spend years studying under renowned scholars. Learning wasn't just about memorization. It was about argument, refinement, writing, and mastery. Imagine a young boy sitting under a palm tree beside a mosque, carefully dipping his pen in ink made from soot and tree gum. He's copying a manuscript line by line, his handwriting precise, his breath slow. He knows that every stroke is an act of preservation, that this knowledge must survive beyond him. But golden ages don't last forever. In 1591, the Moroccan army stormed into Timbuktu, bringing guns and ambition. They looted the city, locked up scholars, and wrecked the vibrant intellectual scene that once thrived there. The manuscript trade slowed. Institutions fell silent. And then came centuries of neglect, drought, colonial occupation, and dismissal. When the French arrived in the 19th century, they could not believe that black African Muslims had produced such sophisticated thought. Many manuscripts were stolen, others ignored. The myth grew that Timbuktu had been a fantasy, a symbol for a place so far away it could never have been real. But it was real, and the people of Timbuktu remembered. Over generations, they hid their books. Families buried them in clay jars. They walled them behind secret panels. They wrapped them in leather and stored them in cellars beneath their homes. The knowledge was never destroyed. It was merely sleeping. In the early 2000s, over 700,000 manuscripts were rediscovered in Timbuktu and surrounding regions. Some dated back to the 11th century. Conservationists and historians were amazed. These weren't relics. They were living evidence of a deep, native, African Islamic intellectual tradition. And then, in 2012, danger returned. Militant groups overran northern Mali. In Timbuktu, they began burning libraries, destroying shrines, and targeting heritage. But once again, the people of Timbuktu acted. A network of librarians and families smuggled over 350,000 manuscripts out of the city, often by boat, by donkey, or on foot, risking their lives to protect what their ancestors had protected before them. Because to them, a book is not just paper. It is honor, memory, identity. These manuscripts are still being preserved today in Bamako and other safe locations. They're being digitized, studied, and admired by scholars around the world. But they remain, first and foremost, a testament to a people who believe that the ink of the scholar is more sacred than the blood of the martyr. So tonight, as your eyes grow heavy, remember this. There was once a Muslim city, far from the ocean, far from the great capitals of the East. A city built from earth and ambition, where books were guarded like treasure, and children learned beside minarets carved by hand, where science, spirit, and scholarship coexisted beneath a desert sun. Timbuktu was real. Timbuktu endured. And beneath the sand, its pages still whisper, "Sleep now. Let the quiet wisdom of Timbuktu guide your dreams."